All right, Fresh, let's go to our number 4 team in the country. And this feels like they're almost underrated, but it's the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama, I mean, what else can you say about the year they had last year? Remarkable year. They do have suffer a couple of really, really, really tight losses. You take a look at the loss to Tennessee by 3 points, a loss to LSU in overtime by a point, and they really just put the boots to everybody else. Bryce Young's gone there. Jamar Gibbs is gone. You take a look at Will Anderson Jr., he's gone. But I think we got something in store for Saban. I think Saban's going to turn the clock back, and we are going to see a much different Alabama team this year. What do you say, Fresh?
It's Ala bleeping Bama, everyone. Okay, Nick Saban did not forget how to coach. Do not forget how to recruit. It's Ala bleeping Bama. And until they lose 3 or 4 or more games in the regular season, I'm not going to underestimate them. They are going to be physically tough at the line of scrimmage and on defense. They're going to have defensive linemen. They're going to have linebackers. They have already brought in the 2023 class that they had just signed, number 1 in the country, absolutely amazing. You're going to see maybe 12 freshmen get significant playing time early and often for Alabama right off the bat. That's how good that class was. And that's not saying anything how bad the team is now. That's how good those kids are that are coming in and ready to play. And they've all been there since January. Nick Saban's going to be hungry. The 2 losses last year, you said, by combined 4 points. The loss before that, if you take out the Keely Ringo pick 6 at the end of the ball game in the national title game, they were only down by 8. So we're talking outside of that pick 6 that he should have just kneeled out and run the game out. Those are 3 straight single-digit losses. They don't get blown out. They're coming to play, and they have a whole host of motivation. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, all coming in on his philosophy. This is just a fresh blood coming into Tuscaloosa that's now hungry. And, you go through SEC media days, you hear about complacency and all that nonsense that people have been asking Kirby Smart about. Maybe complacency did settle in a little bit in Tuscaloosa. They had won so many titles, and maybe the guys just lost that hunger of whatever. I can guarantee you right now, Nick Saban's got that back and got their focus. And it's going to be a hard camp when they go in about a week or two and they open up there in the heat of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, all through August and into early September. They're going to be working and working hard because they know that they can't let down. The standard in the SEC has changed, but they have now to regain it. They lost to LSU. They've lost to Georgia and lost the third outside of Auburn. There are 3 other biggest rivals they've lost or less than they played to them. So there's a lot changing it, and this is Nick Saban's chance. There's a lot of chirping. Is he lost it? Is he old? Has the program died? Have they been passed by everybody, not just Georgia? That's I think Nick Saban's loving this. He's just letting it all happen, and he's going to set a tone. It's not going to come week 1. It's going to come week 2 when they host Texas under the lights there in Tuscaloosa, and he's going to announce that I'm not here. I've not left. I'm still here. Another little interesting thing is for all the great quarterbacks, the Tuas that they had there and the Bryce Youngs, Bama has won or played for a national championship under Nick Saban with inexperienced quarterbacks. Whether it was McElroy, first-time starter that year, takes us to a national championship. A.J. McCarron, his first year, they went and played and won a national title. Sims, his first year as a starter, they went and lost a national championship game. Coker won a first year as a starter, went and won a national title. Jalen Hurts, his first year there, they went and played and won a natty. And then Mac Jones, his first year as a starter, they went undefeated and won a natty. He doesn't need the super 5-star experienced quarterback that's been there for 3 years to truly win a national championship. He needs the offensive line, the defensive line, the running game, the defense, the whole units, all the units to play together at a very elite level and to win the football game where the quarterback doesn't have it all on his shoulders. They just need to guide it. I think this year right now with the unknowns at quarterback on who's actually going to be the starter, is it Simpson, the freshman? Is it Milroy coming from last year who played a little bit? I was not too impressed with him. Or is it Buechler coming from Notre Dame under Tommy Rees, the same OC? I have a weird feeling Buechler's probably get the start early. Ty Simpson's probably going to get the running late. You're going to have maybe Eli Holstein also gets to get involved. I don't think he really truly cares whose quarterback is week 1. He really cares about whose quarterback is going to be middle to late October and who he trusts out there. He might play multiple quarterbacks, but if everyone else plays at their high level, the quarterback won't be the biggest issue, and it'll give them time to figure out which one they actually need, which one will play at a high level for them. Looking at other things, though, What is also Alabama known for? Running the football. Gibbs was weird last year, being more of a scat back on the perimeter, catching the ball in the backfield. They haven't had those big time power backs in a couple of years. This year, they bring in two big freshmen, Richard Young and Justice Haynes. The two of them are going to run down the field left and right. They flashed in spring practice, they flashed in the spring game. I have a feeling the two of them are going to be in for a very, very exciting and powerful year right off the bat to make their statement in T-Town. If they can get rolling early and the offensive line can play with a little more confidence because they haven't played it much lately, they were a lot more pass pro into Bryce Young and not having the running game to help offset that. If they can get a chance where offensive linemen like to do, take the initiative and run people down and be the bulldozer instead of being attacked, that will get the running game going. That will help the quarterbacks. That will maintain time possession, keep the other team's offense off the sideline, and let this young team build talent-wise and grow as the year goes on. If they can get those things lined up, it gives them a great chance to keep moving forward. Now, they do host Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to bring in a very lethal offense. Is this team ready to go by the time Texas or Tennessee shows up? Texas is going to be early. They're going to have to win that one tough, but Tennessee's going to give it to them in October, and then a couple weeks later, LSU. If they're ready to go and they can play their highest level, they have a chance of really being very successful this season and really maybe getting a lot of revenge. If not, there's going to be a lot more questions asked about the depth, and we're going to hear more things about Nick Saban. Has he lost his touch? Receiver wise, Jermaine Burton came there from Georgia after last year. I don't really think he's truly the number one, but right now he's the best in the depth chart. If I'm saying a receiver you need to watch out for Shaz Preston. If they're going to get anything going in the passing game at all, help these young quarterbacks. Shaz Preston, 5-star recruit last year, going to get his chance to shine this year, really show off. If he can take off, a lot of these other young guys in that depth chart can take off, this team can really surprise people because right now, we don't really know what we're going to get from Alabama because we don't have too many returning players outside of Kool-Aid and outside of Dallas Turner on defense. You're going to get a lot of unknowns, but these guys can play at the high level what they're recruited at and at the standard of Alabama. They're going to shock a lot of people early and often and make it really scary. When it comes down to the schedule, though, October 7th, Texas A&M. Somehow Jimbo always has their number. They always give them a heck of a time. Be wary of that game. Do not overlook A&M. I got a feeling they're going to be much better this year than they were last year. And then it comes down to the Tennessee game, LSU. And then if Hugh Freeze, somehow Auburn always gets it down when they go to Jordan Air. If Hugh Freeze gets Auburn playing tricky, they might be able to pull off an upset in the Iron Bowl. So there's games that they should watch out for. This is not an easy schedule for Alabama. This is a very, very difficult schedule for Alabama. If they can overcome this and put together a solid season, watch out for Nick Saban really making continued push toward another national championship. I think he wants at least one more. And I think he down the road he might get one before he leaves. Could it be this year? I'm not sure, but he has a schedule. This actually might benefit the team for next year because it's going to test the team, the fortitude, what they're building there in Tuscaloosa and what they have built over the past few years. The ceiling for this team, 11-1. I don't see them going undefeated in the regular season. The floor, though, if this young team does not gel, they could be 8-4 by the end of the regular season with losses to 4 of these next 5 schools, either Texas, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, and or Auburn. They could lose 4 games right there. So this could be an unprecedented season for Alabama if they can get 4 losses. But it all really depends on the coaching and the young players rising up and playing at a high level if they can.
Fresh as Alabama. Like you said, it's Alabama. And my question really comes down to it: who's gonna play quarterback for the Tide? Is it going to be Simpson? Is it going to be Milroe? Either one of those guys. I'm not like, and again, I can't sit there and tell you that I poured over the A game tape. I know that was a little on the rough side. Buckner transferring in from Notre Dame doesn't make any sense to me unless you really don't like either one of those guys. Like, why did he show up at Alabama? The one that I'm most curious about is the freshman coming in is Eli Holstein. That kid is a monster. There's a large American right over there. He's got a cannon of an arm, and we've seen Saban not afraid to play the kid. Like, Saban will have no fear of starting a freshman. He'll have him ready to go if he thinks that he's going to get them to a point where they're going to win. You take a look at what they got back on defense. Dallas Turner is going to kind of take over that Will Anderson spot. There's a lot of talent in that kid. I like him a lot. It's one of the better linebackers in the entire country. Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be maybe the top cornerback in the draft next year. He's top 2 or 3 right now in the conversation. We'll see how this year goes. So you know that they're going to play defense. Bill O'Brien's gone as the OC. bringing in a new one right now. It's going to be interesting. Nick Saban's still going to have his hands on this Alabama team. I would be stunned and amazed if we're looking at this schedule for any other program. You're right, Fresh. You're lucky to pull four losses, only four losses on this schedule. Because right now, just looking at this, they have 5 preseason ranked teams on their schedule coming into the season. It is going to be a murderer's row starting that September 9th game. You take a look at their next, set of games there. You go Texas, yeah, you go to USF, which is a random thing. Alabama going to Tampa, which I was like, all right. You get
Recruiting to play in Tampa. That's exactly what it's all about.
right. Ole Miss, okay, that's in Tuscaloosa. I don't think they're going to really have Saban's number, and Saban has a tendency to beat up on Lane Train at Mississippi State. But then you start going at Texas A&M, Arkansas. He's going to be jacked up for Tennessee. Luckily, you get a week off before you place LSU, and then that's really going to tell us where Alabama is. I'm looking at them after that November 4th game. We're going to really have a good idea whether or not Alabama is going to be playing for the college football playoff or if they're going to be playing in a New Year's Six bowl game again. I don't really think much of Hugh Freeze at Auburn. I get it. It's the Iron Bowl. It's a rivalry game. Crazy things can happen. Yeah, come on, guys. Let's not exaggerate. Auburn was really, really, really bad last year. Really, really bad. So I don't know about that. We're going to be then taking a look at that SEC title game. So this Alabama schedule, it's brutal. If they get the quarterback fixed there, I think that they have a good shot at going to it's stupid for us not to say that the ceiling for Alabama is 12-0. I just because it's Alabama. It's Alabama. I can't sit there and say that they can't go 12-0. I'm with you and say 11-1 is probably more likely, especially with that quarterback issue going on. But I think Saban's going to turn back the clock, run the football, play defense, ball control, keep games around 24, 27 points offensively, and really kind of stifle another team's offensive firepower. I'm going to ask you a question here, Fresh, and I'm going to see what you really think about this one. If Alabama were to lose 3 games, do we say that is the dynasty officially over?
Well, it'll be the first time under Nick Saban since he's arrived at Alabama they've gone 3 years without a national championship.
Yeah.
He still has the most national titles ever but from Alabama's dynasty perspective, it would put it on very thin ice. I would say you have to
Okay.
get through get me through a complete cycle because there was one early on. At least every single recruiting class have won national championship, at least one.
Okay.
If the kids who came in 21 don't win one by the end of 24 in a 4-year window, then it's over because then you've broken that cycle where a kid came on campus and in 4 years never won a championship.
Right. All right. I kind of feel the same way. I don't want to stick a fork in Nick Saban by any means. I don't really want to doubt him in any way, shape, or form. But I am starting to, I really hope for his sake and for Crimson Tide fans that was a blip and not something that we're going to see again. Because there were some things. They had a lot of talent last year, but there were some things that really you were concerned about. Giving 52 points up to Tennessee. That should be concerning to them.
I think the concerning point really sort of tipped off when the Iron Bowl of 2021, where the offensive line looked so average.
Right.
They survived it, but at that point, you started seeing there were some kinks in the armor with that offensive line, which we've never seen in Alabama before. But
Yeah.
like you were referring to, how many Halloween movies have they made where he keeps coming back? You think he's
Right.
dead and he keeps coming back? You can't let Nick Saban get any hope because if he does, he's going to come back and haunt you all forever. So eventually, he's still that evil monster for everybody else in the SEC and the nation that you've got to watch out for.
And isn't it great? This is the level of expectation that your program lives at. Like if we don't win, if we're not in the college football playoff, if we lose 2 games in a year, then people are going to say our dynasty that we had a dynasty won and that it's over. Like just stop for a second and think about how insane those level of expectations are from a fan base. So eh, Alabama fascinates the living bejesus out of me this year. So oof, it's gonna be a fun one to watch for them.
It will be.